Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Maverick News Channel. It is Sunday, February 1st, 2026. We left January back there, and we're heading straight into spring. Well, maybe not. It's still a little chilly out there. So cold, in fact, that iguanas are freezing solid. In Florida, we'll show you later in the broadcast. Did you see the thumbnail on some of the channels? We have a frozen iguana with a forked tongue on there. No ostriches tonight, just iguanas. Oh, I said the O word. Sorry. Oh my, I'm surprised it didn't come up. Maybe it didn't. Maybe I just missed it at the Conservative Convention out in Calgary, or who knows if it came up at the Conservative Convention in Ontario this weekend. Media not allowed in. Cracks in conservative unity in Canada is still there. Amplified, exposed. And while it, on the surface, it looks like everything's sort of positive, in the conservative family out in Western Canada, not quite. I'll dig into it because, I had a couple of people messaging me saying, what do you think of this? And what did you think of that speech? And what's your opinion on this? So I thought, well, we'll dig into it a little bit more tonight. And I'm going to bring you the truth, or get you closer to it anyway, I think. What else do we have? All kinds of stuff. Jesse Ventura back in the news. We have, I just have a list here. I'm looking over at the list that I wrote. Oh, yeah, Elon Musk, SpaceX, kind of throwing a SpaceX monkey wrench into Russia's activities in Ukraine. Are they going to put a monkey into space again? No, they're going to put 4 astronauts into space, and they're going to blast off in about a week to head for the moon, unless, of course, you know what's really going on, in which case you'll come back and tell me that it's impossible to go to the moon. We never went to the moon. And yet on the 8th, I guess we'll find out if you're actually able to go to the moon as a human being, because they're sending 4 astronauts up there. Or so they say. It could be a conspiracy theory. Also, they've discovered a new frozen planet that could be kind of like Earth or whatever. So I'll show you that. So we've got frozen iguanas, frozen planets, some conservatives left out in the cold on this kind of still frosty February 1st, 2026. Don't go away. There's more coming up right after these messages.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity, the Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do. It custom shelves for your books or your tech. Cozy space for your treasures to protect. Built-in power when you need to recharge. Smart design that makes your bedroom feel large. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day.
Designed and developed by Brightleaf Innovations, proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea and exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
Truth. Honesty. In politics. What? Those were words that were thrown around at the conservative convention. We have truth on our side, is what one of the social media influencers said while on the stage. We have truth on our side. We're conservatives. Okay, if you say so, man. Whatever. Am I really starting the broadcast off this way? I guess so. Somebody sent me a message and asked me to watch some more of the speeches because I didn't watch all of them from the CPC convention out in Calgary. Hang on. I need some more caffeine. No, Rick, you've had enough. You're cut off. And we're just minutes into this broadcast. Okay. First of all, let me just say, before I say anything else, I think Pierre Poilievre is kind of a nice guy. He's very personable. I love his family. He seems to be very family oriented, and I have a soft spot for him right here because of that. In fact, I'm going to show you something here just before we get into this, okay? Just because, oh man, I don't like to be able to pick low hanging fruit, but it's just all over the place. We have truth on our side. Okay, whatever, man. It's not just the conservatives, okay? Like they would all say that crap anyway. Well, maybe they would say it. It smacks, okay? It just does. So let me just. I didn't mean to start like this. I'm going to show you this though, just because this got me, okay, right in the feels, just like this guy. That's what he says. Kirk Lubomov. He's got the blue check mark, so it must be true. Never mind, it says all the politics. This got me right in the feels. Pierre Poilievre's daughter is nonverbal on the autism spectrum, except she just started verbalizing speaking. As a father, hearing my girls is the best thing I hear every day. Imagine waiting 7 years to hear your kid. Pierre is holding his emotions back here. They are the happiest people on earth right now. Bless them all. And I'm going to run the clip because I think this is freaking awesome that he's highlighting this. And I kind of remember this from the speech too, because we did run this in full.
Seeing your autistic daughter speak for the first time is the thing. It's the thing.
Yeah. Okay. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Now to the politics. Okay. Pierre's a nice guy. Like him. Love his family. That was great. But it is politics. And so, yeah, I don't know how much truth there is in politics. All right. So we have to dig into that. And he's the leader of the party. And this isn't actually, there's going to be very little talk about Pierre Poilievre in any of this, but it will be about the conservatives across the country, who largely are, very divided in many ways. Not just, you've got this huge divide between the federal conservatives and the Ontario PCs with Doug Ford. They both ran their conventions this weekend, almost like dueling conservative conventions. And then you have an additional split between, the PPC, which sort of was an offshoot of the Conservative Party with Maxime Bernier, who almost became the leader of the Conservative Party, but then that didn't work out. So he started his own party. And then, I don't know, something's happened to the PPC. People's Party of Canada, his party. It's morphed into more of a populist thing. Could be the Populist Party of Canada as much as the People's Party of Canada, although I think it's always been framed as a populist party. But, there's still a lot of conservatives in it. And as a result, there's that divide too. And some people have said from the beginning that the PPC is really only a party that's there to they're actually working for the Liberals because they're controlled opposition, and they're only there to shave off enough conservative votes to prevent the CPC from getting elected. So there's that conspiracy out there, and there might be truth to it. I don't know. I know that the people involved at the grassroots level are genuinely very passionate and sincere in everything that they've done. I've not run into anybody saying, boy, we've got them now. We really screwed them because we're really liberals and we're just out here causing trouble and shaving off votes. That's not what I hear from people in the party. But there are those with that view. Who am I to argue? I'm just a guy sitting in a chair with a microphone. So I'm just highlighting the divide, which became very, very, very public this weekend because in Ontario, the provincial conservatives under Doug Ford, they had their convention. They didn't allow any media in at all. None, zip, nada, no media at the Ontario convention. Out in Calgary, the biggin, right? The big convention for the federal party. Everything looked pretty darn happy. And they had a bunch of influencers there, social media influencers, some of the biggest names in social media politics, all of them on the conservative side, of course, and pre-approved and credentialed. And they had their super duper conservative badges, which every time I see that, I think back to my earliest days as a reporter when I was a student journalist working for the college radio station in London, Ontario, 6XFM. I was the public affairs director of the radio station, and I was selected by the powers that be, the people running the broadcast journalism program there, to go to Toronto to a big Ontario PC leadership convention. And I got to go with, a handful of other students, and it was a really big deal. And I remember I kept the media badge for years after that. It was my very first political convention as a journalist, right? And it was a journalist. We did live reports from the floor, but no media this weekend. So it would have been a totally different kind of experience. That's for sure. Now, I was, as I said, contacted by some people who said, what did you think of so-and-so's speech? And what did you think of so-and-so's speech? And I was like, I didn't really watch any of their speeches. I wasn't that interested, to be frank with you, because a lot of these people I just don't pay any attention to anymore. I used to watch some of them sometimes, and I still inadvertently see the occasional clip, but I mostly just scroll past them as they're fed to me in the algorithm. But no, I said, okay, I'll go watch, because I was told these were like barn burner speeches and really, really great soliloquies. I've used that word from time to time. So I went and I watched one in particular, and I won't highlight the rest, but this one, Jasmine Lane. I was told this was the big one because she got a standing ovation at the very end. So I said, somebody said, well, if you're open to watching it, and I know I'm open to everything. I look at everything if it's something that might be of value and not going to waste my time. So I went and I watched it. I have to confess, I watched it in 2 times speed to condense my time and make the most of my time. Now, let me just show you. Now, here's the thing. I think she's the one, too, that said they have truth on their side. Not to pick on her. It's just my take on her speech is just not what the party faithful have come forward with. They loved it. But here's the thing. It's like, I know that when it comes to media, cliches sell. When you're doing, mainstream media television reports, for instance, you're, as I said last night, you're trying to condense information into a minute 30. And I learned very early on, that effective storytelling becomes very effective when cliches are involved, because they're things that people can instantly relate to, and they reinforce ideas in people's minds so they can easily relate to that. And if you can, overlay a message onto a story or a narrative that carries a lot of cliches, either through imagery or words, people absorb it more effectively or efficiently. So when I watched her speech, I understood why she got the standing ovation, because it was just my opinion, my observation. It was just a landslide of cliches, conservative cliches from the beginning to the end. All talking points just repeated. Not much actual substance to it at all, but it was all stuff that just tapped into people on an emotional level. She's very good at it. And I think that she probably had some help focusing the speech, and it was reflective of the shift or the pivot in the messaging, the marketing of the party. And that's the important point to take away from, I think, her speech, is that it wasn't so much an exercise in finding solutions to problems. It wasn't some deep philosophical or ideological expression. It was marketing, and it was all cliches. Marketing also taps into cliches all the time. And it was delivered by a social media influencer who, in my view, really just is slotted right in, has exactly the right look, appeals to a very specific demographic. As a woman in her age bracket, that's why they've selected her to carry the conservative message forward through social media, not just this weekend, but online as well. It's like in advertising, you pick, if you're going to sell beer to big fat white dudes with beer bellies, the people you put in your ads unless you're putting like a really hot supermodel babe drinking beer in it, then you put a big fat beer belly white dude in it, because then the white beer belly dude can relate to the white beer belly dude. See, that's the way it works in advertising. And if you want to reach out and appeal to women who are like late 20s, early 30s, then you put a woman in there who's in her late 20s, early 30s. And if you give her just the right look, she can still resonate maybe with a larger, broader demographic, like white beer belly fat white dudes who might look at her and go, yeah, well, she looks pretty good to me. They chug on their bottle of Molson Canadian or Bud if they're separatist. A Canada 50 for a stare. I need my Bud to go with my beer belly. Point is, she's got the look, right? Just the right look. And she delivered just the right message at just the right time with all just the right cliches, delivered with just the right rhythm and just the right hair. Just like a news anchor with blow-dried hair and just the crisp look and not what I'm wearing, because I'm just me and I'm Rick Walker and I'm just the real thing. I'm not an AI, nor am I a manufactured salesperson online. But some people are. Nothing against her. She's doing it, doing her job. But that's how I view it. All right. And that's not a slight. That's just an observation. The extension of that is they have truth on their side. Right. And not only that, there's this. Okay.
Doesn't require strategic absence of important details in order to be accepted. Truth does not need coercion. And many people in this room know this because they've lived it. I remember it when I was a kid, living in a time when debate was a productive tool to get to the best possible outcome for the most amount of people, when disagreement wasn't dehumanizing, when diversity included one of the most important diversities that is around, and it's one that they never seem to talk about: diversity of thought. That old
So she's they're saying that, and people are like, yeah, it's clapping like seals, and they all rise to their feet at the end of the speech. Again, nothing against her, okay? I'm just saying that while that's happening, they have conservative influencers who were banned from the convention, and I didn't even know until today. I just wasn't even aware. But you have some disgruntled conservatives, okay, who weren't allowed in, I guess. Here's one dude. Who's this guy? This is Michael Harris, I guess. Is this Michael Harris? I don't know. This is who posted it. No. Okay. Let me just run the clip. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll get you the clip. This guy's not happy. This dude's not happy. Okay. And not only is he conservative, he clearly is from somewhere out west because he's got the hat.
Hello everybody, I've got some bad news for you guys today. I'm just coming back from the BMO Centre, where the Conservative Party of Canada is to host their yearly convention to decide the fate of Pierre Poilievre. I bought an observer ticket to be able to get into the event, but I have some unfortunate news. When I went to the registration desk to actually get my badge and to be able to actually attend this event, I was turned around. I was told that I am an agitator and that I am not welcome at their event. This is unfortunate news, considering the fact that even though I assume it's because I ran against Pierre Poilievre in the Battle River Crowfoot by-election, that, well, Pierre Poilievre really didn't have too many problems with me. I mean, he really just literally supported half the things that I was saying in my speech. So I don't get it. They don't want differing opinions. They also want the opinions of the youth. But yet, they kicked me out. It's an unfortunate day, but we're going to keep on fighting, guys. Peace out.
And that's the truth. Oh my. Oh, do you remember that? What show is that from? Was that Laugh-In? Oh, no. Well, I know they did that on Hee Haw anyway. That's why I did the thing, the noise there. And that's the truth. It's an old TV show. I'm so old. Nobody will even get it. Okay. Sorry about that. Jasmine Lane's not old enough to remember. Yeah. Canada's Erica Kirk. Jasmine Lane. So, you know, maybe I'm just becoming a little too skeptical in my old age, but I don't think so. That's the truth of politics right there. That's what it is. Let me see what else I've got here, because there are a bunch of them. Bunch of others who not happy at all because they got banded too. Here's another one. This one surprised me. Okay. When I found out this, Rachel Parker. They banned Rachel Parker from the CPC convention. Rachel Parker's been on this program a long time ago. She was on once or twice when she was Rachel Emmanuel before she got married. And she is married to David Parker from, I believe, the Alberta Prosperity Project, the separatist group. She has also interviewed from time to time the Premier of Alberta, Daniel Smith. She was working at the legislature in Alberta at the time for a sort of a conservative media outlet. And the reason she came on our program was because I think she got canned or something, if I remember right, from a mainstream media outlet, and then wound up over with a conservative. I can't remember all the details. It was so long ago. She was only on once or twice. Then later she got married to David Parker. And she posts here on X, journalists Jason Levine and I were both barred from the CPC convention held in our backyard this weekend, despite having some of the biggest platforms in Alberta. Are the journalists and influencers who are given access really not going to speak up on this censorship? And then the cracks become even more visible as you scroll down and the others chime in on this. So here's Jason Levine. I think he's been on our program at one point. That was a long time ago, too. Pretty sure. And I've spoken to him a couple of times on the phone. Anyway, he says, we know why we have been too honest about Pierre's leadership and the collapse of Canada. I even had a CPC MP agree to come on the show, his show. Then suddenly he asked to reschedule and never did. They have banned some of us. I was even told I am too political. What? Yeah, I know, Jason. That doesn't make sense to me either, does it? Laugh out loud. Imagine that. Now, here's Mr. Sunshine Baby, who I've taken issue with of late because of his sensationalist thumbnails and pro-51st state rhetoric. But he says here, makes me wonder if I would have been allowed in. So I guess he wasn't invited to join with the others. So there's something going on within the Conservative Party. And it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of diversity of thought over there, or at least not tolerance for it. What else we got? The Resistance Coffee Company posts, that is brutal. Kirk Lubomov says they didn't even speak of any actual policies, never mind this. Pinky22 says CPC is CCP based on the agreements CPC signed. And Greg Wycliffe says, just never criticize the leadership of the party, Conservatives, for failing to be conservative. Unity! With an exclamation point. Yeah, you don't have it across Canada with Conservatives right now. Donald Ensikum and whatever, just asks the question, why were you barred and on what grounds? Bonnie Michael, I can't pronounce the name. I hope they do. The CPC should be ashamed. Knuckle says they are on to Jason Levine. He is as clear as a cellophane costume at a Masonic initiation ceremony. Unacceptable views from Quango Chef. What? I guess it's been a very interesting few days to see which influencers are truly independent. It seems to me that the CPC has built themselves their very own media party. Really? I hadn't noticed. Hadn't noticed that. I didn't get, really? I think he might have woken me up. I'm in unity with you on that. Donald says again, I was told by a independent media gal reason the CPC HQ were barring people because they are outspoken. They were screening who comes in, plus you had to have deep pockets. Really? I didn't know that. I'm in unity with you on that point. Yeah. A little closer to the truth. Jasmine, this is a different Jasmine, not Jasmine Lane, says personal experience with some of them. No, they only care about their image and how things actually will benefit them. Really? Okay. That's opinion, though. Can't prove that. The speech did feel a little bleached to me. The Jasmine Lane speech. Nathan Zeckveld. I only see this causing damage to the cause of the CPC and causing them either to become exactly the same as the Liberal Party of Canada or causing them to lose terribly. The Bread Radio posts, and I haven't even vetted these, I'm just reading them. Thank God they finally activated some of their brain cells. Journalists is a far stretch for Levine and should be a wake-up call to his followers to what he really is. So that's kind of the reverse of the other thing where he's criticizing the people who got banned, saying they're not real journalists, while on the other side, people are saying they're just paid influencers working for the CPC, the party, and they're not actual journalists. Looks like everybody's under fire. Tom Stokas says, only sycophants and shills allowed. Really? I'm sorry. Middle-aged white guy. I could relate, but I'm a little beyond middle-aged. So I don't fit the cliche, not that one. He says, I will always vote blue. However, if that system doesn't change, the libs will remain in power forever. Now, assuming there is no change, why even participate in the federal system? It truly is a uniparty. W, whoever that is, says influencers are just cheap paid shills. Of course they aren't going to bite the hand that feeds them. Pugsley Pam says, why? What was the reason? Well, we're trying to get you closer to the truth. Benjamin Durden says, no critical thought allowed. If you're not pulling the rope for them 100% of the time, you ain't allowed at their parties. Just like the Liberals, they have these big clubs and make sure anyone that's allowed is fully in line with the narrative. And Bubsy, at Bubsy Canada, says, so true. The only way to rid ourselves from the uniparty, where the CPC is forced to go left on too many issues, is to exit and to create a new country based on Western true conservatism. I don't know. I think he might have been allowed in there, Bubsy, because I'm seeing quite a few. I don't know. They're separatists, of course, as we learned this week. There are two kinds of separatists. At least two kinds of separatists, and how you view them depends on what kind of separatist or non-separatist you are, I guess, because we're told that you got the bad separatists and you got the good separatists, and the good separatists, well, Depends on which side you're on. You got the 51st Stater separatists, and then you've got the Alberta separatists who want to separate from the rest of the country and become an independent sovereign nation state, but still remain within a nation state so that they still, when you figure out what the hell that means, please let me know. An independent sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. I know what that means to me. The language is pretty clear, but I keep running into this blockage where it's like, no, it doesn't mean that. Well, then when someone actually tells me what it means, when it makes sense, if you can have it make sense to me, please explain it. In fact, earlier in her speech, Jasmine Lane said, I may be paraphrasing a little bit or messing this up, but she said this: when someone has to explain to me why something makes sense, it usually means that it doesn't make sense. Usually means that it doesn't. That's what she said. Somebody please explain to me how an independent sovereign Alberta within a united Canada even begins to make any flipping sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Because it probably doesn't. Because it's a bunch of doublespeak. And I've been thinking I need to really address that along with a lot of other doublespeak that is out there. But we'll save that one for another night. Extreme Center says it makes sense. What? It does? Well, please explain, Extreme Center. Extreme Center says it makes sense. All political parties must control the message and silence the dissidents. It has been happening for a while with the L and Dippers. Conservatives are only slowly catching up. But this weekend, Doug Ford banned the media at the Ontario Conservative Convention. Media causes strife. Yeah. The solution, therefore, is to buy the media. That could be a solution. Just buy your media. Buy your own media in an unregulated, uncontrolled media environment where you have no regulations. Journalistic ethics are not present. They're thrown out the window. You have everybody and their brother out there practicing journalism. The way to guarantee positive media is to buy your media. I've noticed too that some media outlets take it the other way. And in order to get the scoop, they do what tabloids learned how to do a long time ago, which is to buy the story, own the story, take it even beyond that, and own the newsmakers, the people who are in the stories. Pay them. You might even hire them and give them a job in order to own the story and own the newsmakers. I've never paid for a story. Never. Maybe I should start. We'd need a budget for that, Rick. A budget? Yeah. Where would that come from? I don't know. You could sell out. Well, how would I do that? You could take the money from some of those political. Never mind. Trev Dean. Jason is Maxime Bernier, proxy for the extremist right PCC. He means PPC. M. Young says, I guess they all support Bill C-8. Nostrima says, advocating for separation from Canada while simultaneously complaining about not having access to Canadian institutions to build your platform is pretty churlish and just another sign of how unserious you folks are. Yeah. I've noticed too that at least one of the big prominent Alberta separatists has been going on social media talking about how the people who are opposed to the upcoming referendum and see it as kind of illegitimate because of the U.S. influence and the promises of U.S. money are looking for ways to kind of shut the referendum process down. And he's been on there and he's been talking about how you got to follow the rules, There are fines for you people if you do this and if you do that. And if you don't follow the rules, you're going to get fined. While he has other posts up saying that basically the separatists don't plan on following the rules because once they get this referendum under their belt, which could happen as early as this fall, they ain't asking. They're just leaving, even though that's not following the rules, because a positive, or I wouldn't say a positive, that's the wrong word. A vote for separation is viewed by him and many of the people around him as being the only thing you need. You just need the will of the people, which is a vote in favor of separation and recognition internationally, which will come from the Trump administration. So they ain't asking. It says we're not asking, which means, translation, they're not going to follow the rules. They don't care about the Clarity Act. They don't care that a vote for separation really just triggers a process where negotiation with the federal government is required, where an entire process has to unfold because the entire country has standing in this question. The entire country does. It's not just up to Alberta. And because First Nations, especially within Alberta, also have standing in this question. But they don't care. They're just leaving. They're not asking. I've heard that at least 2 posts. But you guys, you got to follow the rules. See? Not them, though. For them, it's just marketing. And then when they get enough support and they can spin it, because I guess they have truth on their side too, right? So they just have to spin it with the truth. Then they'll just do what they want. Unfortunately, I think that might just lead to some very bad outcomes. And I really hope it doesn't go there, because that's where things could get really messy. And I'd really like to see that avoided. But that's me editorializing. And of course, one of the main architects interviewed on CTV. I'm going to run this for you. Alberta Prosperity Project legal counsel Jeffrey Rath, who has had his troubles with his career being reprimanded from time to time, says his group is meeting very high levels, or at a very high level, members of the Trump administration, admitting to it again here in this interview. But he will not reveal today exactly who is in those meetings. Well, why not? Why not just say it out loud? They were kind of boastful about it in some of these earlier rallies that they've had, where leaked audio came out where they were talking about the $500 million offer of a loan to fuel the separatist movement in Canada. Anyway, here's what he said today.
Can you understand how, on the face of it, Canadians would view, some Canadians outside of the ones that support your cause, who are not necessarily unempathetic to the frustrations expressed by people in this province, but who would view the idea of, people here meeting with a government that has, spoken the way it has about this country as a whole, as problematic and
No,
seeking
well,
money to make this happen.
I
Do
understand
you get
that there's a lot of Ontarians and people in Quebec that suffer deeply from Trump derangement syndrome, but we're not doing anything untoward. It's absolutely, from our perspective, we're just...
Trump derangement syndrome is not an argument. Okay, it's just an insult. Just saying. You throw that out there when you don't have anything intelligent to say.
Conducting due diligence on behalf of our fellow Albertans. We're serious professionals. I mean, I've argued cases at the Supreme Court of Canada, for goodness sake. I mean, we take what we're doing very seriously, and obviously the attitude of the United States towards Alberta independence, which incidentally is overwhelmingly enthusiastic.
No kidding, really. They're all in favor of it. Not surprised.
Is something that informs our movement going forward. If the United States said, oh God, we can't tolerate that, flies in the face of, the communist New World Order, we'll slap a 300% tariff on Albertans if they leave because we want you to remain resource slaves of the communist government in Ottawa.
Yeah. Now, those factual statements sounds a whole lot like emotion baiting to me.
It would be a totally different conversation. But that's not the case. We're gratified that it's the case. And quite frankly, the Trump administration shows Albertans far more respect than is shown to Albertans by the government in Ottawa. Do you think three of us could get a meeting with Tim Hodgson to talk about the need for a pipeline to the Pacific Northwest so that David Eby can't continue to hold us hostage? Of course not, because they want us to be held hostage. So, so I understand that there are Canadians that are upset, especially in Ontario, that when Alberta leaves, that Ontarians for the first time in their lives are going to have to pay their own bills and pay the bills of the Maritimes that we've been paying for years. I understand that's upsetting to people, but they need to understand that Albertans are done, we're leaving, and there's no more conversation to be had. I know that's upsetting to people.
Do you believe, though, that
Actually, it's the half-truths that really upset me the most.
The motivations of the people you're meeting with or in the Trump administration are altruistic? Like, do you think they want what's good for you and people who support your cause, or do you think that they're trying to leverage this to get the upper hand against the country of Canada as a whole?
I've studied foreign policy at the university level. I have an honors degree in political science and I have an honors degree in law from the London School of Economics. Oh,
well, it's game over then. Just might not as just why even try to have a discussion? He's a super smart, super genius.
Do you think that communist Ottawa is leveraging communist China against Alberta? I mean, come on. I mean, we live in the world of reality.
You bunch of commies. All you Kanakistanians, you're commie. TDS, commie. Oh, shut up. I mean, please continue. Let's have open discourse.
But you don't mind being a pawn in that fight?
We're not a pawn. I mean, we're talking to them about our aspirations, and we have our goals and objectives. So, we're not a pawn. We're actually more like a rook or a queen on a chess.
More like a pawn.
Board, moving forward in the direction that we want to move freely on the board. The pawns are the provincial premiers.
Actually, the pawns really are the unsuspecting pawns, the poor people who are being misled and led around by the nose with fear-mongering.
Like Danielle Smith that are being manipulated by Carney and Eby and communist China to do their globalist bidding, as far as I'm concerned.
When you mentioned that you've met with people in the State Department, you feel as though that message has been conveyed to Scott Bessent. That's why he made the comments he did. How high up are the meetings that you're taking? Are there names, for example, of people that you're meeting with that we would recognize offhand?
I'm not sure about that. Probably. I mean, we're meeting at a very high level. People in our meetings are going, direct.
Stephen Miller?
I'm not going to say. I mean,
why not?
We're not, because we're not. We have an agreement with the people that we're meeting with that we're not disclosing the identities of the people that we're meeting with.
Why? Why? Why won't they say who they're meeting with? This affects the future of our country. This represents a true existential threat to Canada. It's a question that affects every Albertan. Who are these people? And they're down there meeting with Trump administration officials, and we're not allowed to know who it is that's helping you? Who's behind this foreign interference in Canadian affairs? Well, the premier says, well, I would hope that the United States government would respect Canadian sovereignty when they're clearly not. Name the names. Albertans and Canadians as a whole deserve to know what it is you're doing and who you are talking to. Spit it out, but he won't. Name the names.
So
why not? May I
well,
ask?
because it's an agreement. So that's all.
But again, like, would it be reasonable to question the motivation?
A secret society, a secret agreement made behind closed doors, a pact. Huge money, 500 million at least. That's $500 million. Nice hat, by the way.
Of making that
well, that's
agreement.
probably why we're not talking about it. We don't want them being bothered by people from the press in Canada asking them silly questions. They don't want to be wasting their time answering questions from the press, right? And we're fine with that. We don't care. I mean, we know already that our meetings are paying dividends when the U.S. Secretary of Treasury is announcing the fact that the U.S. would be open to a pipeline through the Pacific Northwest to take David Eby and Communist China out of control of the Alberta oil field.
May I ask then, in a different way, have there been conversations?
So they clearly, the Americans don't want a pipeline built to the West. Are you listening to what he's saying? He's telling us all, that the Americans have made it very clear they don't want any of that oil flowing to commie China. And how would it get there? Oh, well, the commie Canadian government would build a pipeline to the West Coast and then ship it off to commie China. They're not going to let that happen. They don't want that to happen. I've been saying that for a long time. And think about what he's just said there, and then think about why really the real reason the pipelines haven't been built in all this time. The real reason, the unspoken truth that he won't tell you.
You know, among yourself or people in the movement with, for example, as high as President Trump?
No. Well, I mean, I haven't. I'm not sure about David Cameron. He's not really part of our movement and part of what we're doing. He's the leader of the Republican Party of Alberta. He claims to have been to Mar-a-Lago and whatever. We don't need to meet with President Trump. We're really technicians when it comes right down to it, right? At the end of the day, our next delegation to Washington, we're going to have bankers, economists, corporate lawyers, et cetera, to help with this feasibility study that we're conducting, right? And we're going to be putting together, what a potential deal memo could look like and put together a complete dossier so that we can just hand it over to whoever the government of Alberta is in power and say, hey, if Ottawa is giving you a hard time, here's an easy way out. There's a large credit facility that's available through Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or whoever in the event that Ottawa tries to cut off your money.
I guess people in the chat want to hear the whole interview. That's the length of the clip that came up. That's as much as I have. I don't know, man. You comfortable with this? That seem right to you? Does any of this really seem right? Does it seem like they're following rules? Is he following rules? Really? Is David Eby really out of line using that word treason? Saying the unspoken part out loud this past week? If Canada is really a communist hellhole, but we have no freedom and no freedom of speech, why is he able to speak so freely about breaking up the country? Why is he still free to walk around after going to meet with U.S. officials? Try that the other way around and see what happens. You know, in the United States, there's no way for a state to leave the Union. There's no constitutional path for that. Nevertheless, Jesse Ventura has been talking about it. Let me see if I've got the clip. Another one. Well, before we get to that, let's go to Danielle Smith, the architect of the process that is allowing all of this to happen. It's the strangest of times, because the political strategy there seems to be word games. Something that you might refer to, or as I've learned to refer to even just recently, as esoteric language, which I'll touch on in more depth, I think, in the nights ahead. But what it really means is it's a bunch of doublespeak to hide deeper meanings, to hide true intent. Esoteric language, doublespeak. You know, phrases like an independent, sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. Again, please explain the unexplainable to me.
A little bit about separatism. Is it appropriate, do you think, for members of the Alberta Prosperity Group to meet with officials from the Trump administration and to discuss money?
Well, I would put it the other way. I mean, I think that it is up to the American administration to respect Canadian sovereignty and to respect that this isn't a
How? Yeah, she would not say anything negative about Jeffrey Rath or Mr. Modry or any of the people who are trying to break up the country. Will not do it.
decision that should be made in Alberta by Albertans, and that if they have any official discussions, it would be with those who have been elected to represent the people.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of undermines you, does it not?
Well, I guess I don't feel so, because I have a really good relationship with the U.S. ambassador. I've got an envoy in Ottawa as well as in Washington who is working every single day to build those relationships. And so we're doing a lot of work on the ground every day, meeting with lots of people.
Did you talk to, I think you met with Ambassador Hoekstra last week. Did you say something to him about how you would like him to, the administration, to follow the proper channels when discussing this issue?
It didn't come up, okay. But I did talk to my James Carpenter after I saw that it was in the news. I did talk to James Carpenter, who is my Ottawa representative, and and I asked him to raise it with the ambassador, as well as my envoy in Washington to raise it with them in the U.S.
Other premiers had a lot to say about this. Premier Ford said you should denounce it, and you did not do that.
Well, there's a lot of hurt people here. I mean, when I look at the movement, I see as 30% or more of Albertans have given up on the country. That's distressing, and that is a sign, I think, of a loss of hope. And it's my job to restore hope. But I'm not going to.
Why can't you say?
I'm not going to demonize a million.
Not demonize them, but why can't you say this isn't the path
forward? A million
Albertans.
I just feel like it's my job to allow for a bit of a pressure release valve. If people feel this way, they need an avenue to be able to express it. So I'm going to watch and see how the petition plays out. We'll know by the end of May if they have enough signatures to go to a vote, and if so, then we'll schedule that probably for the fall.
That seems risky. That seems risky to me, particularly at a time when there are real threats to our sovereignty that are coming from the outside.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you have the same conversation in Quebec, where they're about to elect a Parti Québécois leader. I think it's far more risky.
I ask questions there too.
I think it's far more risky to have this question drag on for years. If this is an acute issue that we're facing because of the last 10 years of being treated so badly by Trudeau, if there is a new government, there's a sort of a recognition of whether or not he's moving in the right direction. I think he's doing many things in the right direction. I think he'll do a lot more with the help of a strong opposition leader. But that, to me, is a demonstration of why there's some urgency. We've got to address the issue of getting the MOU implemented and getting to it and demonstrating that we're going to develop our resources again. And we've got to address some of the big issues, like the gun buyback, which is unpopular everywhere except for Quebec, and it's a constant source of irritation petition, the person who's leading the petition campaign is a gun shop owner. Yep. And he has a federal government that has made him a criminal for part of his inventory that he holds, made his customers criminals with just the stroke of a pen. And those are the kind of things that are unnecessary. When we have so much we can agree on, let's go after the bad guys. If we want to go after guns, let's get the ones that are legally coming across the border. Yeah. So I made that point to the Prime Minister as well, that it's not just one thing that is going to win Albertans' trust back. There's a whole series of things that the Trudeau Liberals did that went not only against our economy, but also against our values and way of life.
And I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Prime Minister does get that. I think that's part of what the MOU was about.
He's part Albertan. I think
yeah, that's right. So
he's
live to it. But do you not think that you're somehow enabling the conversation around separatism by allowing this to play out without you saying, I'm not saying demonize them, I'm just saying this isn't the way forward. I'm going to make things better for you as Premier. Hang tight.
Well, that's what I have said.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I have said. I said I believe in a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada, a federal government that stays in its area's jurisdiction, that honors and respects our areas of jurisdiction, treats us with respect, allows us to develop our wealth so that we can all benefit. It fell on deaf ears.
You're also allowing the idea for a referendum to go forward, clearly because, I don't know what, you think that once they have a kick at the can, the story will be over?
Well, as you know, I inherited citizen initiative referenda, and there's a number of petitions that are going forward. There's a petition that has gone forward looking at the funding of independent schools. There's a petition going forward that's looking at the development of grassy mine coal down in southern Alberta. I do believe the citizen initiative is a mechanism for people to address things that we as a government would not put on the table. We as a government are not putting this on the table, but we're allowing citizens to demonstrate if they care enough about it. Get 177,000 signatures. We'll put it to a vote of their fellows.
Okay. Premier Smith, we'll leave it there. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
They have truth on their side. Esoteric language. Doublespeak. This guy seems to be speaking pretty plainly. Jesse Ventura, I mentioned this. Same interviewer, different guest.
Minnesota would probably be better off being Canadians today. One good thing, we'd get some health care.
Have you spoken to Governor Walz? Obviously, you're the former governor. I don't know if he ever reaches out. And even if you haven't, what would be your advice for him right now, given what he's dealing with?
My advice to him, Tim Walz has had it tough.
Yeah.
During both his terms, he had the pandemic to deal with, and now he's got this to deal with. My position is hold tight, stand tough, and don't give this guy nothing. Because Donald Trump views any concession as a victory for him. And he needs to learn something, this draft-dodging coward, that Minnesota's not going to back down from him. He picked the wrong state to mess with, because he's messing with Jesse the Body now. And we got some plans that I haven't said will happen yet, but he may be seeing me face to face. Minnesota.
Crap. Yeah, man, he was a professional wrestler. I think Donald Trump might be in line for a good body slamming. Oh. Politics. American style. Yeah. But don't you worry. The Conservatives, they have truth on their side. Where's my clip? I have another one here. If I can find it for you. Where'd you go? Pierre. I have another one of Pierre. Maybe I've lost him. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take a little break. I got a lot of other good stuff tonight. So more truth, conservative style when we come back on the other side.
The information war is raging. Truth without integrity is worth nothing. Maverick News. Because those who have power and those who seek it must be held accountable.
The world is watching.
Join our family of truth seekers. Donate today and add your voice to the chorus of Maverick Knights. Donate at maverickdonations.com. truth. Integrity. It's the Maverick way. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay. Truth. Back to Poilievre. So he said that what's the exact caption on this? Canadian citizens now open more businesses in the United States of America than they do in their home country. That's elbows out. That's what he said. Here, I'm going to show you. This is one of the posts clipped from his speech. Because, you know, they've got truth on their side. I'll play it. Politics.
Amazingly, Canadian citizens, this is an incredible fact. Canadian citizens now open more businesses in the United States of America than they do in their home country. That's elbows out. Amazingly.
What? Is that true? Is that true? Are you telling the truth? Well, they must be. They have truth on their side, right? I thought, well, let's ask Grok. Let's grok it and rock it. Okay, so I've already done the typing. To save a little time, let me bring up the Q&A with Grok. Well, we rock around with Grok tonight. Okay, let's bring it up on the screen just so you can see the conversation with our AI overlord. Hello, Grok. Is it true Canadians now open more businesses in the U.S. than in Canada? Answer is no. The claim that Canadians now open more businesses in the U.S. than in Canada is not supported by available data and appears to be exaggerated or misleading. This statement has been circulating recently, largely from comments made by Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre at a party convention in late January 2026. Yeah, very late, like yesterday or the day before. Have I lost track of my days? I'm getting old. Premature Alzheimer's. He says something along the lines of Canadian citizens now open more businesses in the United States than they do in their home country, framing it as a criticism of current economic policies, high taxes, bureaucracy, slow growth, etc. Similar phrasing appears in social media posts, videos, and news clips from that event, which would be the convention this weekend. However, there is no publicly available official statistic or report that directly supports this exact claim. Here's what the evidence shows. Business formation in Canada. Canada still sees hundreds of thousands of new business registrations and incorporations annually. For context, federal incorporations alone have been in the tens of thousands in recent years. Example, over 68,000 in 2020, with trends continuing upward in some periods, and total active enterprises with employees number over 1.2 million. Broader entrepreneurship indicators rank Canada highly among G7 countries in some reports, though overall startup rates have declined over the long term due to factors like an aging population, high wages, and economic conditions. Canadians starting businesses in the U.S. There is evidence of increasing numbers of Canadians incorporating or launching ventures in the U.S., especially in tech and high-growth sectors, for example. Many Canadian-founded startups, particularly in tech, choose to incorporate or headquarter in the U.S. to access deeper venture capital, larger markets, investor preferences, etc. Recent reports note that a growing share of Canadian-led high-potential startups are launching outside Canada. One figure cited around 67 to 68% in recent years, up from much lower shares a decade ago, with many in the U.S. Canadians are emigrating to the U.S. at higher rates, but this is a far cry from Canadians opening more businesses overall in the U.S. than in Canada. The U.S. has vastly more total business formations, millions annually due to its size, and most new Canadian businesses are still started and operated in Canada. The claim seems to conflate specific trends like tech startups or high-growth companies favoring the U.S. with overall business creation. I could go on. Just let's get to the summary. In short, while there's truth to concerns about capital flight, brain drain, and some entrepreneurs preferring the U.S. environment, the blanket statement that Canadians now start more businesses there than at home lacks substantiation from reliable statistics and is likely political rhetoric rather than a literal fact. If new data emerges directly comparing the two, example from StatsCan, U.S. Census, or cross-border incorporation records, it could change the picture. But as of now, it doesn't hold up. Is that truth? I'm glad they have truth on their side. It's just a small thing, but is it? Is it a small thing? I'm still digesting it all. One thing I do know for sure, even after listening to Pierre Poilievre's speech, which I noted, by the way, and I still have the notes from the other night when we ran his speech in full, in live, right here, because we're very fair and balanced. We talk to everybody, we run everything, and I laugh at everyone. But I noted that in many parts of his speech, there were direct lines lifted out of Trump's speeches, like at the very end, where he said, "The best is yet to come." There were many other MAGA lines, for whatever that's worth, whatever that means. It's hard to know what these guys mean. And I've said, I don't really know what Pierre Poilievre stands for. I'm still scratching my head trying to figure him out. Love his family. But I'm not sure where the truth is tonight. After listening to all of this stuff. And as I was about to say, I do know one thing for sure, though. It's the Gulf of Mexico.
Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
And you know, these promises from the White House, hasn't anybody learned anything? Does anybody remember how the United States pulled the rug out from underneath the Kurds? Where are the Kurds? What's that? What else is going on in the world that's related to all of this? Everything. Greenland. Tonight, bodies continue to pile up in the streets of Tehran. Why? You think maybe, just maybe some of those protests in Iran are happening because of foreign influence? I think all that's organic. A lot of dead people. Venezuela. Canada. Bill Maher, for quite a while, kind of like was viewed as being on the left. Now he's gone to Mar-a-Lago or wherever. I don't know. It was the White House. Anyway, after spending some time hanging out with Donald Trump, he seems to have shifted politically somewhat. Sometimes seems pretty balanced. But in this clip that I'm about to play, really pay attention to what the guy is saying about broken promises.
You know, we've seen these demonstrations in Iran before, but this was bigger and more people have died. But I think maybe more people have died because he said he was going to help. This looks like a bay of pigs to me. This looks like America's going to come and help you. Where is it?
He's talking about Trump making promises.
Remember the Kurds in '91 when they thought they were going to get help from America? Vietnam could make the same claim. I mean, a lot of people have felt let down by us. I thought Trump was different. Where are you on this? Because all these bodies that I see, these body bags in Iran, I think a lot of those people went in the streets because they thought, oh, he said he's got our back this time. Where's the help?
Well, the generals have told us that short of sending in a massive number of troops, it will be another Iraq.
Well, then what did he mean when he said?
I don't know, but if you look at it from a larger, perspective, because of Israel, this is one person's opinion. Because of Israel and President Trump's backing of Israel, the Middle East is safer than it has been in 20 years.
Absolutely.
Hamas
I
is
agree.
on its knees, Hezbollah is on its knees.
I gave him credit for that,
Iran
yes.
no longer looks invincible. And you know who is applauding us every step of the way? Not out loud, but the Arab countries.
Look,
every one of them.
If Venezuela causes Cuba to fall, if he somehow gets Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran all to be not these horrible places they were, he should get a Nobel Peace Prize.
I've been to Cuba. I didn't really like it. I thought there was a lot of hypocrisy there. Because they did have shortages of some things. And you had some people kind of living lower middle class, low income lives. And I'd be on the street when I went off the resort to really find out what it was really like in real Cuba. And I would be standing on the street, and a lot of newer cars. You don't see any Chevys, no American cars. They're all from other countries, Europe and China, and a lot of old cars, which give the place a certain charm. I did some reports. We ran footage from my visit to Cuba many years ago now. Well, not that many years ago. But you know what? I didn't like it because when I got off the plane, anti-American literature in the airport, right there in the stores where you buy your soda and snacks and stuff. And you get to the resort, and on television, they have channels that are running constant documentaries about the Cuban Revolution and all with, very anti-American flavor. So I didn't care for it because I love America too, right? So I just found that distasteful. But while I was there, I have to say, like, the resort was fine. When I went out to meet people in the streets, and I talked to a lot of people. I interviewed people there. No problem. A lot of people talked to me, and I did some reports back in that time. This is way before the convoy. You know what I noticed? They're generally pretty happy. I still saw the hypocrisy, which I didn't like, and a lot of things about the place I didn't like. But the people were living their lives on their terms. I didn't get the sense from any of them that they felt like they were overly oppressed. their standard of living could be higher, but you have to put that into context too, because you have a country there that has been pretty much, sanctioned to death by the United States, except for their ties to other countries, especially Russia over the years, right? And if you know anything about your history, you have to understand too why Cuba had their revolution. You have to go back to the 50s, prior to the revolution, prior to Castro. And you know what was there? Do any of you really know what was going on in Cuba? It was a playground for America. It was a tourist place with casinos, and a lot of it was run not by banksters, but by gangsters. And there was a ton of corruption there. Tons. A lot of organized crime. And generally speaking, I don't know that the people were any better off. And a lot of people didn't like it. There was a movie that I saw when I was a kid. I think it was simply called Cuba. It had Sean Connery in it. Saw that at the Repertory Cinema in London, Ontario on a Friday night when I was in high school. And I began, I guess, to some degree, my education on Cuba, as limited as it is, but I remember. And I just have learned a bit about Cuba, and I know that that's the true background and one of the reasons that the Cuban Revolution happened, because it was about American corruption and abuse, really, of the resources and the country and the people and the crime. It was allowed and even endorsed by America. And it pains me to say that. And ever since, Cuba has been a thorn in the side of America. And yeah, a lot of people have fled because of communism. I get it. So you have a big Cuban diaspora, and especially Florida. And Trump is saying this weekend that they're going to take steps so that Cuban people living in America will be able to go and be reunited with family after many decades of being forced to live apart, after fleeing communist Cuba. What does that mean? Not sure. But I do know this from history too. Better be damn careful about those promises that are being made from the man in the White House. Because those decisions, those promises are made with politics in mind. And I'm not sure how much truth there is in any of it, or honesty, or integrity. Because sometimes presidents start wars just to distract, especially with things like midterms maybe coming up. Or when there are other factors involved, like $38 trillion debt. And I think the first part of that clip from Bill Maher is maybe the part that should resonate most with all of us, especially Canadians and especially people in Alberta. Look at the trail of broken promises made through history, and then look at the pile of bodies. Beware, Alberta. Beware, Canada. This president's greed, I don't think it has any limits. It's terrible. gangsters. Promises, money. How can anybody be okay with any of this? How can anybody not see the rot at the center of all of this out in Alberta? And somebody's just sitting there trying to convince you to break up your country, to turn your back on your country. With arguments like, they have TDS. They're a bunch of commies. Is that truth? That's not truth. That's not even an argument. All those TDS infested commies up there in Ottawa. They talk about dehumanizing through rhetoric. What did I just see there? Gotta be damn careful, man. I remember what happened to the Kurds. I remember. Yeah, Vietnam. And thank God for Canada. During the Vietnam era, Canada doesn't always bend the knee. That's why Canada became a safe haven for dissenters. Don't tell me this country doesn't have free speech. I remember. We need this place. The Americans need us. We're far more valuable to them as a sovereign, strong, stable country than we are as a 51st state. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Yeah, still on Cuba. There's some important stuff for you to know here tonight that I want to highlight for you. See if I can find Global Affairs Canada. They've issued a travel advisory for, there it is there, travel advisory for Cuba tonight. Actually, it was earlier this month, so it just remains in effect. Here, I'll show you. This is the Facebook post from Global Affairs. We have updated our advice for Cuba to exercise a high degree of caution throughout the country. Shortages of basic necessities may affect resorts and have an impact on availability of various services. Let's go to the full article. Because what's going on down there And you're not going to get totally plain language on this either, frankly. But they are concerned because of possible power outages, which are happening, shortages in some places, chronic shortages of food, bottled water, public water supply, medication, fuel, and hard currency. And it says resorts can be affected by shortages. Seeing various, reports from different places where some of it's happening, some areas are not having trouble, others are. Issues with crime, petty crime, tourist areas, markets, public buses, nightclubs, beaches. Sexual assault concerns, fraud, overcharging, scams, harassment, spiked food and drinks. These are all kind of things that you have to be aware of anytime you're on vacation in any resorts like this, regardless of the country, honestly. But the bigger thing here, and what needs to really be highlighted, is the reason these travel advisories are being highlighted right now and updated is because of the United States, because Trump is sanctioning oil coming from Mexico, going and other places. Like, they don't want any oil flowing into Cuba. They're trying to starve the country out in order to destabilize things, to bring about, what would that be called? Regime change. What the hell do we do with this is the headline. What the hell do we do with this issue? Mexico confronts Trump's Cuba pressure. President Donald Trump's increasingly overt attempts to bring down the Cuban government are forcing Mexico President Claudia Sheinbaum into a delicate diplomatic dance. Canada, too. That's why they're not coming right out with the explicit language. Esoteric language, not explicit. Mexico is the U.S.'s largest trading partner. It is also the primary supplier of oil to Cuba since the U.S. seized control of Venezuela's crude. So what Trump is really doing here is he's saying to Mexico, you're not allowed to sell oil to Cuba. And so that's a twofer for President Trump, because now he puts pressure on Mexico, can't sell your oil to Cuba, takes a bite out of their economy. Cuba can't get oil from anybody. Puts pressure on them, destabilizes things down there. They have rolling blackouts. They have other energy issues. Because he's trying to destabilize things so they can go in and do whatever they got to do to affect regime change. This is happening, folks. This is happening. Venezuela, Cuba, I've been telling you, they're carving the world up into spheres of dominance or influence, depending on whatever word you want to use. And it's really happening. Canada's in play. And Trump is playing these games with tariffs. The effects of this are extending over into Europe. European countries meeting kind of quietly, but public statements being made that they are looking at using counter tariffs on a massive scale against the United States now, an ally, while they have troops up in Greenland, NATO, to maybe stand against American troops. None of this seems to make any sense, does it? Because the United States wouldn't do that, and I've seen these influencers as well carry water for the Trump administration. Some of these very influencers tonight that we're talking about. Oh, it's all Carney's fault. It's Canada's own fault. It's Trudeau's fault. It's our own fault. It's all our fault. No, it's coming from Donald Trump. And it's not just here. It's all over the world. And anybody who's trying to tell you otherwise is playing a game, a mind game, a word game. And so is Trump. He is playing chess word chess or something, because it's all double standards, double speak. And when I say double standards, I mean it. He's telling every country who they're even allowed to be friends with, who you're allowed to trade with, and actually pushing Canada into the arms of China, I think on purpose. It's sort of like laying a trap, but you don't have any choice. You have to walk into it, because he's saying, we don't want to trade with you. We're going to make your life a living hell economically, while telling you that they're doing you a big favor, blaming the victim, which is the standard operating procedure now. And while he tells Canada he tells Venezuela, you're not allowed to sell oil to them. These guys are not allowed to buy oil from you. We're going to steal Venezuela's oil. We're just going to take that, and then we'll sell it onto the open market or to whomever we want. We're going to take those ships too. We're going to steal all that. And that's literally what that guy is doing. That's not very American in my books, but I guess there's that side of America now. I see two Americas down there. He's on the wrong side of history as far as I'm concerned, and dictating to Canada. And here's the hypocrisy, and here's the double standard. He says, Canada, if you do a deal with China, 100% tariffs on everything. And he's warning Canada not to do deals with China, because if you do, they'll take over your whole country. He says, and the first thing they'll do is they'll tell you can't play ice hockey anymore. Oh my God. You mean we can't play hockey? We haven't had that happen since the pandemic. What kind of crap is this? Don't do business with China. They'll take over your country. Bunch of commies. Who is he to tell us what to do anyway? He already tried that with China, and they told him to go pound salt. So he backed off. But I'm not so sure he really meant it, because you know what? Well, he's telling us that we're not allowed to do business with China. He's doing business with China. This guy just recently, just as one example, made an agreement, opened up for the sale of some of the most advanced computer chips produced by America to China. Not the very most advanced military grade stuff, but the stuff below that. AI stuff. So it's okay for him to do something like that, but Canada's not allowed to import 49,000 cars. For sale in the Canadian market. Those cars are not being imported into Canada for export to the US. But I hear these influencers who have truth on their side saying over and over again that those 49,000, that the cars from China are coming to Canada so that they can be sold or dumped into the United States. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Can't keep track. I'm glad they have truth on their side, especially when they're telling a lie. That's not what those are. Those cars are destined for the Canadian market. 49,000 out of total passenger vehicle sale volume of about 1.9 million annually. It's a fraction. But hey, details don't matter, right? Just it sounds good. Go with it. Narratives are not truth. When they're saying things like that, it's not honest. It's misleading. It's esoteric language meant to confuse But I'm glad they've got truth on their side. So you see my take on the whole conservative convention and what I was hearing there? A little bit different. Just a bit. Just a little bit different. I hate it when people lie to me. Because sometimes I can't say I'm immune to it. Like I've been tricked because it's powerful, and especially with this new medium, social media, AI, new technology, new psychological warfare techniques. Of course, we're all being tricked sometimes. Probably being tricked about a thing or two even now. But when I realize what's happened, I change course. I correct. I admit sometimes if I've been wrong because I've been duped. I just try not to be duped. And as I become more more media savvy in this new media environment, I'm being duped less and less. But the technology keeps becoming more and more powerful. But I've become, I've studied media all my life. So I guess in some ways I know that even when I was in journalism school, I was told by the profs, you will never, ever watch television or a movie or listen to the radio the same ever again. And it was true. And I never have. I always view it differently because I see it through the lens of being sort of behind the scenes, and I understand how a lot of the stuff is created. And I think that has helped me survive this giant, excuse my language, Linda, this giant mind fuck. But it has left me sometimes standing alone or with only a few other people at times. Because what I'm saying tonight isn't going to resonate with a bunch of conservatives who just want to stand up and cheer. Pick a team, be on this team. And I think largely to them, truth doesn't matter anyway. I think to a lot of people today, truth doesn't matter. It's just, they just want what they want. And if they have to lie to get it, they're happy to do that. And if they have to be lied to feel better, I think a lot of people would prefer that. That's slavery. That's self-enslavement, and I'm not going to participate in that. I don't want that for me or my family, my kids, my grandkids, if they ever come along or whatever. I don't want it for your kids. I don't want it for my country. So I just say no. No, thank you. Let's take a little break. Come back. Frozen iguanas after this. Frozen iguanas? Yeah, iguanas.
Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity. The Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way. charge. Smart design that makes your bedroom feel large. Turn easy bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, night or day.
Designed and developed by Brightleaf Innovations. Proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea, an exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
So just a few other things to touch on tonight. Just with regard to Cuba, government's saying just, be extremely careful if you travel there. Maybe even don't travel there. And the unspoken truth is the reason you should really think twice about going down there is because it's unpredictable. It could get dangerous because you have shortages already because of these sanctions, the blockades that are happening, the military buildup in that area. And if the United States does decide to use some sort of intervention, and it looks like he's going to do something, and he's not joking about any of this stuff. He's not joking about Canada, not Venezuela. None of this is a joke. It's too widespread. If you can't see it now, by the time you do, it's probably going to be too late. It looks like something's going to happen down there. Who knows what? That's the point. So, personally, if I were to go on vacation right now, I would not be going there. Because if something does happen, you might have a real hard time getting the hell out of there. In fact, I come back to that movie, Cuba, Sean Connery. There's scenes there with, if I remember a long time ago when I saw it, just scenes about them like leaving the country during the revolution. But this would be the opposite of that. And Jesse Ventura is right. This kind of feels like Bay of Pigs time all over again. This president of peace is rattling his saber. And it's been a lot of tariff talk up to this point, but he also keeps playing chess by moving around his aircraft carriers. So be careful. If anybody's calling you, offering you a vacay in Cuba at a cut rate, it's because it's dangerous. It's unpredictable, and the danger is in the unpredictability. It might be peaceful there right now, but that could change at a moment's notice. And if you do go down there, there could be shortages of various things. So just be aware. Not to say you can't go, but just highlighting that. Also, just to further emphasize or highlight the destabilized nature of the entire frickin' world, the United Nations, it appears to be falling apart. There are reports this week about the UN having a huge financial crisis and possibly going to go, I think the word might be bankrupt. Because, Trump's not putting money in, and you have other member countries that haven't been paying their dues. And as a result, they have a big financial problem. It looks like it might all fall apart. Well, who started all that? Same dude. But it's a democracy. Not right now. Unitary executive power. I keep saying it over and over again. Look it up if you want more background information. I'll talk about it more another night. Maybe when I explain why I've been using this phrase, esoteric language. There's more to it, but it's a lot. It comes down to this: double speak, lack of honesty, hidden messaging, masking true political intentions. What else we got going on? Well, they were talking a lot about hope. right? Oh, I should mention too, just in passing, before I talk about hope, Elon Musk mentioning that his company Starlink has been taking steps to prevent Russia from accessing stolen Starlink equipment in Ukraine. And so they've been shutting that stuff down too. Just an interesting sidebar story. I just thought I would mention it tonight. That's as much as I'm going to say about it, but there is that, because that conflict continues to rage as well. So there's a little bit on the Ukraine-Russia conflict for you tonight. There were big fires too in Iran. I noticed that. Several huge fires, which was kind of weird. The United States saying they had nothing to do with these things, but it kind of mirrors what happened in Venezuela just before the U.S. military swooped in, kidnapped Maduro, and swooped on out. So we have one eye on that one too. I don't have enough eyes, but I'm not the one-eyed monster. What else do we have going on? Okay, let's talk about hope. Hope was the catchphrase, the theme of the whole conservative convention. This is really over there. It's this is just hope in a way. Just to highlight again, and this is about hope, and I think this is all very positive stuff, and this is the bright side, the positive side of America. And this is the Artemis 2 mission, which is, they're doing fuel tests, I think, right now with the big rocket. And they're going to launch this rocket into outer space on the 8th of February, so in about a week. And they're heading back to the moon. And I believe this launch, they'll go to the moon, but they're not going to land on the moon. And then there's another mission. And the next one, they're going to land on the moon again. And this is NASA, not SpaceX. And this is an international effort. Canada's involved too. So why can't we just do cool things like that and cooperate with each other and work together? Why does he have to take over everything? Ugh. And just to go back to Cuba, like this, if you think back, you don't have to like him. But you remember Obama, that guy? Yeah, he was a president too for a while. He also addressed Cuba. And you know what he was doing? He was normalizing relations with Cuba. You know who didn't like that? Trump. So Obama was like, okay, we've, had this terrible relationship and travel bans to Cuba for decades. Since like 59, I think it was. Anyway, I think it was 59. And then he was like, let's open things up and maybe we'll, start trading and we'll let Americans go to Cuba. And there was this brief period where things began to normalize. And then Trump came in. End of that. Now we're here. They're just going to take over the country. Hope it doesn't get violent. And you can all pray for the people of Cuba tonight, and any tourists who happen to go down there too, who might get caught up in the middle of it. And I was thinking, if people go to Cuba, say you got a bunch of Kanakistanians down there, and then there's some big intervention by the Americans, it's some military action, can't get out of the country. Who the hell knows? It was the Iran hostage crisis. People fight back, man, when they feel like their freedom or their right to self-determination is under attack. No telling what might happen to those Canadians. I kind of feel like they might end up being political pawns. Any tourists that might be down there at the time. In the end, I wouldn't want to put myself in that position. or my family. Especially if I had kids. Anyway, back to hope. So you got guys going to the moon, which is very cool. That's very hopeful. That's a hopeful thing. Although I don't think I want to go to Mars and live there. But if you want to, you can go first. Got that. And then we've got this this other story that has been out. Have you seen this new planet that has been discovered? Oh, here it is here. NASA. Oops. This to me, I found a little odd. The story is out there in all the media, but I found it on RT first about NASA. They cover so much American news. Anyway, this is directly from the science nasa.gov site. Discovery alert: an ice cold Earth. This is an artist's concept, by the way. This is not an actual picture of the planet, but the candidate planet, a candidate planet that might be remarkably similar to Earth, HD 137010b, has one potentially big difference. It could be colder than perpetually frozen Mars. It says that scientists continue to mine data gathered by NASA's Kepler Space Telescope and continue to turn up surprises. Anyway, this planet says also might fall just within the outer edge of its star's habitable zone, the orbital distance that could allow liquid water to form on the planet's surface under a suitable atmosphere. Now the bad news, it says the amount of heat and light such a planet would receive from its star is less than a third of what Earth receives from the sun. Although of a stellar type similar to our sun, the star, HD 137010, is cooler and dimmer. And that could mean a planetary surface temperature no higher than minus 90 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 68 degrees Celsius, which is, I think, what it's about tonight here in my part of Canada. Might be even colder with the wind chill, probably a minus 150. By comparison, the average surface temperature on Mars runs about minus 85 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 65 degrees Celsius. Well, my goodness, that's balmy in comparison. Anyway, planet HD 137010b also need follow-up observations to be promoted from candidate to confirmed. Exoplanet scientists use a variety of techniques to identify planets, and this discovery comes from a single transit. Only one instance of the planet crossing its star's face in a kind of miniature eclipse detected during Kepler's second mission, blah, 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 blah. And there's an animated picture of planet 137010b. It says here, despite the possibility of a frigid climate, this planet also could turn out to be a temperate or even a watery world. Say the authors of the paper on this exoplanet, it would just need an atmosphere richer in carbon dioxide than our own. The science team, based on modeling of the planet's possible atmospheres, gives it a 40% chance of falling within the conservative habitable zone around the star and a 51% chance of falling within the broader optimistic habitable zone. Okay, I just know this. I'm not moving there. You can't make me. And I still think it's crazy to think that you're going to terraform Mars. Now, on to the iguanas. Let me cue this up. This is way more important than the politics. This is all about what weather. I'm not joking. It's been really frickin' cold out there. Crazy cold. Let me see if I've got the... I want the clip. Let me see if I can find it. Don't want that one. I'm working on it here, folks. I'm going to get it for you. Oh my goodness. I'll re-queue. So these iguanas, anyway, it's so darn cold. I was talking to a friend of mine down in Florida today, and on the phone, of course, and he said that he's down there, I think, just for a few months because I think he's sort of semi-retired or whatever. Anyway, he said that it's like really, really, really cold where he's at, and he says some people are saying it's the coldest it's ever been. Okay, let me just show you here. You can find this stuff online. So it's so darn cold. How cold is it? It's so cold iguanas are freezing and falling out of trees, raining reptiles. Residents across Florida have been seeing an unexpected and strange side effect. Our overnight cold front, iguanas literally dropping out of trees. Iguanas are frozen in Florida. They're falling out of the trees. Will they wake up again? I have never seen iguanas in person.
Iguanas. These right here are giant males. Guys, it is 30 degrees Fahrenheit down here in South Florida, and that means iguanas are falling out of the trees. In just a couple hours, we caught over 100 iguanas. These right here are giant males, and as you can see, this one is starting to wake up. What happens is, oh, you're okay. No, you can film this lady. She's shocked right now. Have you ever seen it? For fuck's sake. Have you ever seen anything like this? No. Yeah, this is crazy. This is Florida man activities right here. We got iguanas falling out of the trees, guys. Look at this. What happens is when it gets really cold, all their muscles become paralyzed. They end up losing their balance and falling out of the trees. And we have over 100 in the truck, and we're just getting started. This right here is real Florida man shit.
Because iguanas are cold-blooded, see? Here, look. It's raining iguanas.
Another one.
Yep,
Cold snaps got them dropping like fruit.
they bounce pretty good.
They do.
Is it real or is it AI? This is real. There's another goner. It says, much like many Floridians, iguanas can't stand the cold, literally. If you're in South or Southwest Florida, a new executive order allows people to remove these invasive reptiles from your property and bring them to one of 5 designated FWC offices today and tomorrow too. No permit required. Yeah. So that's one of the things I took note of too. Here's
Was it 3 that you started going out?
Huh? I got up at 4 a.m.
Okay.
Everything you said is exactly what happened.
Oh my gosh. What? Was it 3 that you started going out?
Oh my God. Oh, that guy's bundled up. And the Florida cold snap doing a number on iguanas. Oh. Have you ever seen an iguana? Yeah.
Iguanas. You know it's cold in Florida when it starts raining iguanas. Oh my God. Where are they coming from?
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Yeah. So, you still want to move to Florida? Yeah, ICE agents deporting illegal iguana aliens.
They stay like that until about maybe 50 degrees, I think, is when they start to come out of it.
Look at them all.
That probably won't be for a while. There's 10. I counted 7. They look like they were probably pregnant females, so that was good. That'll you estimate that's probably, they could put out about 60 of them, if not more. How many is it? 13 in there? Can we get to 15? Yeah, 15. Has it been a good turnout? Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, you just doubled our...
Yeah, so government's asking people to turn these things in. Bring out your iguanas and turn them in. I don't know. Is it? I think it's probably still better to move to Florida if you're going to move than move to Mars or the moon or planet. What was the name of the planet? 137010B, dubbed the Cold Earth. Yeah, you can keep it out there. It's cold enough right where I am tonight. And I ain't going. I'm just going to say no. How about you guys? That wraps us up for tonight. It's just after 9 p.m. Eastern. For those of you watching the live version of this broadcast. But I will be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side. Keep it real. Love you guys.
Didn't pick this fight, but here it came. Now our own are playing a traitor's game. They sell us out for a tax cut deal. Shake his hand while they rob and steal. They call us blind, they call us weak, but they're the ones on their knees to the thief. Wave our flag while they burn it down, marching to the sound of a tyrant's crown. Patriots, they're bought and sold. Trade our land for American gold. Singing his tune, dancing his way, but they'll cry for Canada when it's too late. Yeah. Trump traitors, selling us out, burning our home for a tax break now. They stand with the wolves, spit on the brave, but they'll beg for Canada when it's in its grave. They talk real tough, but they bow real low, licking his boots while they put on a show. They chant his name, raise their fists up high, while the real ones fight to keep us alive. They don't fight fair, they twist the truth, say they're the future, but they kill the roots. They laugh now, but watch them run when the north wind howls and justice comes. Traitors, selling us out, burning our home for a tax break now. They stand with the wolves, spit on the brave, but they'll beg for Canada when it's in its grave. One day soon the tide will turn, and traitors pay when the fires burn. No statues raised, no banners flown, just names in dust where the traitors roam. Selling us out, burning our home for a tax break now. They stand with the wolves, spit on the brave, but they'll beg for Canada when it's in its grave. Trump traitors, Trump traitors, Trump traitors, Trump traitors, Trump traitors. Shame.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.